Hey guys, before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to tell you what we're going to be talking about. Number 1, faith is a choice. Number 2, who can you trust when you need godly wisdom? And number 3, how do you actually step out when you feel like God is telling you to go? You got questions, comments? We'd love to chat with you, so put your comments below.
Faith is tied to hearing from God. Don't you think? I mean, faith is a choice that we make.
Yeah.
And we don't have to see it. We don't have to sense it. We make that choice. And I think God speaks to us to make the right choice. So it's easier to make a choice of faith when you feel like you're seeking to hear from God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you sent an email.
Yeah.
And you felt prodded to do what you did. And I know I was sensing God's direction. And I think when we're seeking to hear from him, it helps us take those steps of faith.
Yeah, and those steps aren't easy. I don't want to say that they are, because they're not, because there's typically, in the big decisions that I've made in life, there's typically someone very close to me who says, I don't think you ought to do that.
Sure.
I don't think that's a smart move for you right now, or that's crazy, or you shouldn't go to seminary. You've got a good job. Why would you do that? You know, you're just kind of coming up in the ranks of country radio, or your acting career is just starting out. You know, why would you do something like that? There's always going to be people who do not get what God is calling you to do. How would you say you need to deal with those kinds of people?
I think it 100% depends on who that person is that's coming to you. If it's your spouse, then that's a different kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Than it is if it's, even a good friend of yours.
Right.
Because this might impact your spouse. So having a real going to the Lord and saying, hey, can you go talk to him, please? Because I'm having a hard time. This is on you, buddy.
Yep.
Right. You called me. You got to call him
That's
too. You got
right.
to tell him about it.
Yeah.
But maybe it's your pastor that says, hey, I'm not sure this is the right thing for you right now. That's something to dig into really deeply and say, hey, why do you feel this way as a spiritual leader? However, if it's a random person on the street,
right?
Not everybody is going to support your decisions, especially if they get scared for you.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say if they don't gain something from the experience as well.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, if it's friends and you're going to have to move out of the area and you're not going to be down the street from them anymore, obviously they're not going to want you to do that. I mean, everybody has their own reasons, but I think it's important that you ask yourself those questions of, what's really behind this? Like you said, if it's a spiritual advisor that you're going to and they have some reservations, I think it's totally, because I believe in wise counsel, and I believe there are people who have stepped into my life at just the right time to give me wise counsel about things. So don't just automatically negate it because they have some concern. But I think you're right. You do have to dig into that and kind of find out what that's about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And like you said, if it's a friend who's going to be hurt by the decision that you're making, you've got to realize what filter they're coming to the decision with.
Yeah, that's true, because we all have a filter.
Right.
That's true.
And not everybody's going to understand it. They're not.
Right.
There are going to be some people that don't.
And like you said earlier, wasn't a conference call.
Yeah.
We didn't have all kinds of people having conversations about this call on my life. It's, between me and God and maybe my spouse.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity recently to step out in faith and turn down some things that have really been major focuses in my life. And I feel like God was saying that I was putting too much focus in this particular area. And so having that sense, I felt that my step of faith was to pull out of these two areas. And in doing that, I had already signed up to be on these things. I had to express that I was pulling out of these responsibilities and talking to non-believers for the most part about this. And it really was an opportunity for me to share my faith because I had to say, well, here's why I'm doing it. And the real reason behind it is I feel like God is calling me out of this situation. And, to look at somebody and say that to them, they kind of get a blank look on their face. And, but I would try to say, well, it's because I'm trying to pray about it, and I feel like God is asking me to go in this direction for a variety of different reasons. And it's kind of like a testimony in a sense, because I'm saying, here's what I'm doing, and I'm doing it to honor God.
Yeah.
And so it's an opportunity to share your faith when you have to say
love
that to
that.
somebody who doesn't get it.
Absolutely.
That's such a good reminder, Tricia. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you step forward and follow God without worrying about what others think?
Prayer. I mean, that sounds like the pat answer, but if God's really placing a call on your life and he's really asking you to step out in faith, and if you're having doubts about it, or you're worrying about what other people are thinking about it, run to him with it and say, help me really get courageous.
Yeah.
Give me discernment. Is this really what you're saying? Give me wisdom. Ask him for wisdom as you step through all the pieces of it, as you advocate for yourself, and as you defend what God's doing in your life. But run to God and ask and talk to him about it, and ask him to embolden you with it.
Yeah.
Good advice. Anything you'd add to?
I think that's right on the money, and just really realizing the priority is that I'm wanting to follow God. Yes, I want to please people.
Yeah.
I can't help it. I'd like to get rid of that part of me, but I people pleaser. But my priority is to follow God, and just remembering that. And that comes through prayer and worship.
And having people join you and pray. I would say that. How your community, whoever you now there goes some people are not going to pray prayers that are, in support of what you're doing. But in those times, I feel like God just gives you even more drive to go after those things which he's calling you to do. But if you can have your prayer group join you in prayer, just pray that God would make this clear to me. He'll show up.